Oh, good morning, everybody. I'm just catching up on some of the chat that I missed. Where can I put this that it's out of the way? I'll look right there for now. Hi, everyone. uh, Jeff, I didn't plan on starting the show with a sales pitch, but I'm going to just in response to your comment here. Um, you can find wire wrapped tektites and meteorite and earth rock jewelry that I've done on Topher Spin meteorites on Etsy. There, we got that out of the way. Good morning, Sandmaker. Good morning, Spot. Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Bear. Or afternoon. It's 11 o'clock here, guys. I'm really meant to get an earlier start, and then the first live thing that I filled out I accidentally hit the wrong button and it disappeared. So we're like a half an hour later than I really wanted to be, probably even more like an hour later than I wanted to be. So I'm gonna try to kind of follow a little bit of a timeline here. Let's start off with a feel good story. I really love to do that. So let me show you guys the first meteorite I ever bought, and let me tell you about that experience for me. Actually was 3 pieces of meteorite, one that my son kept and 2 that I kept. And it's not special. That's why we're cleaning this. There was a tiny little bug in there, a little gnat, dead one. Okay, it's really not special. It's an unclassified stone from Northwest Africa, so we refer to that as an unclassified NWA. Meteorites are named for where they're found or where they fall, and Northwest Africa is what we call a dense collection area or a dense collection zone. And all that means is that, thank you, Bear, for sharing that. Definitely my best rancher always. All that means is that Antarctica is another dense collection zone. And that just means that meteorites stand out better there than they do anywhere else. If you think about it, if they fall into an incredibly rocky or incredibly forested area or into the water, they're not as likely to be found as if they land on the solid white plains of Antarctica or out in the sandy desert of Northwest Africa. They just stand out better there. The terrain is better for hunting and finding meteorites. So I bought these 2 little, like I say, 3 little pieces of NWA from a local rock shop. We go shedhorn hunting over by the Rocky Mountain Frontline every year. It's been a tradition since I was in school. And there's a little tiny rock shop over there called Trek's Gem and Mineral Shop. And I try to stop there every time we go and buy just a little something and support this little rock shop out here in the middle of nowhere, Montana. And this time I went, he happened to have a little bowl full of NWA pieces. He had a couple other meteorites too, but I really didn't love the way that they were presented. Like they were presented in a larger Riker box with some information attached, like something you would hang on the wall. And I just wasn't head over heels for the display on those meteorites. So I went ahead and purchased, like I say, a few of these. And I was sitting by the campfire that night with actual meteorites in my pocket, and I was fondling them, and I was laid back in my lawn chair looking up at the big sky of Montana, all of the stars, and the Big Dipper, you could see the Milky Way. They were shooting stars every once in a while, just little tiny guys. And as I'm fondling these meteorites, the first actual meteorites I've ever held or even seen, there's not a lot of, hi soul, not a lot of places here in Montana where you can even go see meteorites on display. So I mean, I am just, and I keep announcing to everyone at the campfire, I've got actual meteorites in my hand right now. And they're like, oh my gosh. So, I mean, my heart was just, holy cow, I'm holding actual meteorites in my hand and I'm looking at this beautiful sky, and that's where they came from. And it just was an absolutely, how do you say it, huge moment for me. I had definitely been interested in meteorites, but didn't know how to go about purchasing anything. So, and I definitely wanted to find one, and I was stuck in my ways there. I wasn't going to buy meteorites, I wanted to find one. And that's a really good morning, Jennifer. Happy Wednesday to you. That's a really crap attitude to have if you want to find a meteorite. Now that I know better, one of the number one things I would say to do if you are actually out looking for meteorites is buy some small samples in hand to hold in your hand and note to be able to see the differences rather than comparing pictures of your rocks to something like Meteorite of the Day or Wikipedia or don't go to like Etsy or because half of the meteorites that are for sale there are not real. So this was a huge first step for me to actually purchase some, and these are really affordable rocks. You can get them at most gem and mineral shows, just regular unclassified NWA. Be sure you're buying from somebody who knows what they're doing though. Like I say, there's a lot of fake meteorites for sale on the internet. It's terrible, terrible, terrible. Okay. That was my first meteorite purchase, you guys. And I still love those rocks. I still love those rocks. So I've made a small list here of reasons why people collect meteorites. Let me see if I can get it. You guys can maybe get it in focus a little bit. That way, if you were wanting to screenshot that or something and think about what kind of collector it is that you are and want to be and what you're after. So I'm going to read this out loud and just discuss some of this stuff as we go. Why or how people have meteorite collections. One reason, and Jeff had mentioned this earlier, location. Katie did recommended the same thing. Having one in your hand is one of the biggest things. Yes, absolutely. And Rufo's here. Hey there. Somebody else. And Jennifer. Did I say good morning to Jennifer? I don't remember. Good morning. Location. A lot of people have state collections, and I definitely have some Montana meteorites in my collection. There's some of my the cornerstone of my collection, the centerpieces of my collection. So we'll get into that as we go along. So state collections or place collections. Like I say, meteorites are named for where they fall. So if they're confirmed to fall in your state, they'll be named for the town or post office nearest where they fall. Excuse me. If they fall in, let's say China, they'll get a Chinese name. If they fall in France, they'll get a French name. And if they fall in Australia, this gets interesting. If they fall in Australia, they're often named after the nearest donga. And so we get really weird Australian meteorite names like Camel Donga and things, and they just sound funny. So sometimes people will collect meteorites for the place name that just is different or funny. Type would be the next maybe possible reason why you're buying or collecting a certain meteorite. We've got people in our group that we call like Iron Man, and Iron Man collects nothing but iron meteorites. He is completely uninterested in everything else. I personally am, again, Jeff had mentioned this in the pregame chat. I'm looking for meteorites that have a natural crust on them, that are a whole stone, that look like they looked when they hit the ground and when somebody picked them up. I'm definitely interested in sliced meteorites and stuff too as I've progressed in my collection, but that's where I wanted to start. I wanted to start with something in hand that I could look at and identify if I found something like that while I'm out rock hounding. Another reason why people might collect a meteorite would be history. Does it have a great fall story or historical significance of any kind? I've got lots of those. We'll get into that. Was it witnessed? Was it seen or even recorded coming through our atmosphere? Those kinds of falls, well, if you have proof that you saw this coming in, like Chelyabinsk, oh my goodness, fell in Russia, everybody had a dash cam, hundreds of recordings of this meteorite entering our atmosphere, but it also, it sonic boomed and blew out a lot of windows and scared and even hurt a few people. So that's an incredible fall story and historically significant. So maybe that's why you've collected this meteorite, is because the story is really cool. Did it hit something? Is it a hammerstone? Did it hit something man-made? A car, a house, a dog, a cow? We have a few of those as well to talk about here. It's just visually pretty, would be another reason why you chose to buy or collect that meteorite. It has a nice fusion crust, or a neat flight-oriented shape, or the inside of it's beautiful when you cut it. So just visually pretty might be another reason why. Maybe you are collecting for education, which is also another target of my collection. So I want a wide variety of good examples of many different kinds of meteorites. Maybe you're collecting birthday falls. Which meteorites fell on your birthday? Or maybe someone you love's birthday. And finally, and probably the most important reason why all of us in general collect meteorites, is for science. So there are some very important significantly scientific meteorites out there, such as Murchison, which has more amino acids in it than the human body. So those are, I think, some of the top reasons why people may or may not collect meteorites. Okay, and then Jeff had said, are there any meteorites in Kentucky? So let's go back to that location. How do you find out how many meteorites fell in Kentucky? How do you find out how many meteorites fell in Montana? You're going to go, and I just have a printout of this, but you're going to go to the Montana, to the Meteorological Bulletin database, to the Met Bull for short. And once you get there, you are going to search for places. Put your cursor into places. And then you're going to search for, contains the words Kentucky or Montana or whatever. Even if you just click places and then put the words in there, it's probably going to be fine. But if you search for that keyword as the state as well, that's going to really, really help. So you've done just those simple two things. None of the rest of this even matters. You can definitely play with this for your own curiosity later, but then you just click search. And this is the entire list of meteorites that have been confirmed to have fallen in the state of Montana. What is there? 7, 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1 impact crater with no confirmed meteorite. So, out of these meteorites in my collection, my prized possession, the Shoto Palisite, I also have Roundup, and I also have 2-Dot. So, 2-Dot is Montana's only stony meteorite. It's an H6. Roundup is an iron meteorite. And like I said, Shoto is ungrouped palisite, which is a very rare meteorite. So that one was really hard to get my hands on. Like I say, it's definitely my prized possession. So, like I said, if you want to know how many meteorites fell in your state, there you go. And then these towns that are listed should sound familiar to you. They should be, towns in your state. So some of these are, historic falls, and I doubt that you can even find a piece of this. Like, here's one that was in 1899, and it's tiny. It's 2.5 kilograms. Like, is there any of that even available? Maybe not. So I think that's really cool. You guys should check that out if that's something you're interested in. Oh, by the way, you can search for find date on this as well, or fall date for birthday meteorites and things like that. So the Met Bull is an amazing tool. Definitely need to be familiar with it. It's also a really great way to cross-check meteorite listings. If you're shopping for a meteorite, punch it in there, check it out. Is it legit? Another way to find out if a meteorite dealer or seller on the internet is legit is, do they have an IMCA number, an International Meteorite Collectors Association number? And then check that out. Make sure that name and place and person matches the the information on that. Hi, Angie. Hi, hi, hi. All right, so we're having some major issues in the poor cabinet. My kid thought it would be a real cool idea to try to split some kindling for the fire over here, and as he was hammering on this wood, it was shaking the wood floors in the house, it was rattling the windows, and rocks fell. Rocks fell in the case on the other side. Actually, earth rocks. I can see them over there, and I haven't got a clue how we're going to get them out of there. Hopefully, it's not so disrupted that the bottom won't turn. But anyway, we're gonna try to take care of this case a little bit today. I need to catch up on some of the chat. Goodness. Spot says she's scientifically significant. She should be studied for science. Pick that up really quick. I've got meteorites just everywhere. You guys bear with me. They're up here and they need cleaned up. They're, like I say, some of this stuff is falling down and so where's this rock? Must be up there. 104 grams. So for example, I just mentioned IMCA. This is my IMCA logo. Come on, focus. Maybe you can, maybe you can't see there that my IMCA number is 6283. And let me just talk about the IMCA for just a minute while I straighten some of this stuff out. The IMCA is a very old club. And you cannot just join the IMCA. By the way, I got my Scammers Beware shirt on from Topher Spin Meteorites. Look out, scammers. Sue's been making some very hilarious little shorts about meteor rungs. I might ask her if it's okay if I share a couple of those in the Discord because they're hilarious. Anyway, you don't just join the IMCA. You have to get 2 letters of recommendation from already existing members. And you have to write a letter to them. And then they vote on those 3 letters. Those 2, yep, that's definitely that meteorite. The 2 letters that somebody wrote on your behalf, and then the 1 letter that you wrote for yourself, stating why you would be a good addition to their club, right? To their organization. And like I say, they read those letters and then they vote. And so there's no guarantee that you will be accepted into the IMCA. I do some outreach stuff every once in a while. I've donated some meteorites to our high school. I swear, when I was in school up there, they had some meteorites. If they didn't, they had some really good, like, overhead projector displays for us. I mean, I wasn't as interested in it then as I am now, but when I asked the kids if they had meteorites in their lab up there, I was just shocked to find out that they did not. So I've done some little outreach things like that where I'm almost afraid. Yeah, come on, baby. Like I say, we're having a catastrophe over here on the other side. Take it nice and slow. Maybe I could reach in there and get this big rock that is causing the holdup. Maybe especially if I move 1 or 2 of these meteorites. Okay, look at that. There's a big chunk of platinum in the way. Now maybe we can turn it. No, that's really unhelpful. All of the stuff is just staying. Oh, let's see. Okay, I think I got it. Oh my goodness, what a wreck. Needless to say, when we heard things come crashing down in here, my kid was like, I'm done. Like, yeah, you are. Oh, come on. Okay. So, what would be your first meteorite, do you guys think? What kind of collector would you be if you were going to get into meteorites? Most of us are rock hounds, so I'm guessing that most of us would probably go for something, again, that you could possibly find. The kind of stuff you're out looking for when you're rock hounding. Most of the guys that I know that are out rock hounding do it visually. They don't take a magnet stick or a metal detector or anything like that with them. They just visually are looking. And that works for a lot of the guys that I know that are out looking because they're searching for witnessed falls. They're searching for stuff that when you see a meteor, I know Rufo just the other day, he saw one and he went to, goodness, let's see if I can pull the name of this thing up now. Report the Fireball. Oh my goodness, they pop up on my YouTube every day. Help me out in the chat. I've got Met Bowl on the brain, and so I can't think of where do you go to report a fireball? Okay, anyway. AMS, thank you. American Meteor Society, thank you. If you see a fireball, you should report it to the AMS. Where other people are making reports as well. It's a really neat, it's a non-profit organization. It's ran by like one guy. So sometimes he gets a little bit overwhelmed and those reports take a minute, stack up and take a minute to go through. And then sometimes, because he uploads the videos also to YouTube, YouTube will limit how many videos he's allowed to upload. And so sometimes the videos get kind of lost in translation as well. But you can submit what you saw with your eye. And if you happen to catch a video of it, you can submit your video as well. So you can go on the AMS, report your fireball, and then check out everybody else's reports as well. And if they've got video, you can see different angles and whatnots of the videos. And so most of the guys that I know that are out hunting, seriously hunting, are getting their leads off of things like AMS and witnessed falls. Things that you couldn't miss. They came in, they sonic boomed, they were caught on all kinds of cameras, that kind of stuff. And so most of the guys that I know that are going are looking for those fresh falls. They've got fusion crust on them. They're, laying in places that maybe they shouldn't be, maybe right on a sidewalk, undisturbed on a sidewalk or something, So I, on the other hand, am looking for something that maybe fell out here hundreds or maybe even thousands of years ago. Maybe yesterday. I don't know. There's a lot of open prairie out here. All right, I think I got that all cleaned up now. I think I do anyway. Okay. I think so. All right, let's look at this really quick. So, I actually got my rock saw so that I could cut rocks. and see if I found meteorites, because it's hard to tell sometimes from the outside, and the inside is usually a pretty good indicator if your rock is a meteorite or not. There are a few examples that have tricked even the experts, but those aren't the kinds of meteorites I'm going to find unless they were witnessed coming in. Anyway, this is one of the very first, and it's kind of shoddy and it's all like old and dingy and stuff, but this is the very first meteorite that I wire wrapped. I cut, polished, and wire wrapped. And that's something we should definitely do on this channel together someday, is cut a meteorite. It's pretty much just like cutting other rocks, except we use distilled water and dry the crap out of it when we're done. So yeah, anyway, I've got a few in here that I've cut and polished. Like, for example, here's one that I purchased as a whole stone. And cut and polished. I actually really like working meteorite. It's kind of softer. Even though there's a bunch of metal in it, it's kind of softer than, well, softer than Montana agates. So I guess my comparison might be just a little bit biased when I'm comparing it to my local rocks, right? But I actually I really enjoy cutting and polishing meteorite. Obviously, I wouldn't want to try cutting and polishing a iron, nor would I try cutting and polishing a palisite or even a mesosiderite, because they've got too much metal for my saw and my equipment. Like, for example, this is probably one of my nicest mesosiderite pieces. And you can see all the metal in that bad boy. Hey there, spicy ghost. I think I would struggle big time trying to cut and polish that. So, but it's absolutely stunning. The nice thing about this piece is there are a couple of little tiny pieces in here that are slightly opaque. You can almost pass some light through it. So not quite the same ratio as a palisite, but man, don't snub the mesositerites. They're beautiful, beautiful, beautiful meteorites. Highly suggest, if you want a piece just to look at, this would be a great piece just to look at. If you want something, let's go to like super budget friendly. I want to introduce you guys to my favorite meteorite, by the way. Super budget friendly. That's, I don't have a lot of money to spend on my meteorites, you guys, so I've been collecting for a while, just little bits at a time, little things that I can afford. So my collection is by no means spectacular. There are people out there who have, you know, dinner plate size pieces of meteorites that I would love to have, but no. Actually, I have a couple pieces of this meteorite. This one I chose for myself, and another one a friend sent to me. I chose this one for myself because of this elongated metal bleb up here at the top. I thought that was just so cool. And I'll turn the camera around and we'll have a look at least these last three, maybe several more. How about I grab that other one back out of there? And we'll look at a few of these up close. And the other, well, like I say, this is NWA 869, my favorite meteorite. Focus. It's not going to focus on the little name taggy guy. This is 3.162 grams of the fantastic, the fabulous NWA 869. It's so cool. I love this meteorite. And you guys are going to see why when I turn this around and we get close in. And we're going to start talking about my favorite kinds of meteorites are chondrites. Okay. let me clean some of this up really quick and turn you guys around. And we'll look at these really quick. Like I say, don't dismiss that mesosederite. Don't think, oh, it's not a palisite or it's not an iron and it's, nothing I'd be interested. Didn't fall in my state or, whatever. I got to tell you guys, my state meteorites, there's one that's pretty. And they're all hard to get. And like Tuda, it's a weathered stony. It's kind of horrific. In fact, let me grab those two so that it's worth it when I turn it around and we have more than just 3 meteorites to look at. Let's grab these old staters. All right. These are my roundup and my 2-dot. They're small, but you know what? I got them. They're in my collection. And then this other one, this is the Shoto Palisite, you guys. Like I say, this is the crown jewel of my collection. This is my most expensive meteorite. I'm not sure if it is per gram. I may have some, really tiny samples that may have been more per gram, but because they're smaller, I paid less for them. But I'm going to tell you guys that straight up paid like $400 for this bad boy. My most expensive meteorite. But I absolutely had to have it in my collection. I'm a Montana girl. I'm the only member in the IMCA from the state of Montana. There's a little magnet back there, so it won't fall out of this case. But we're going to get into like this beautiful little man-shaped metal bleb and stuff in here. So let me tell you guys the story about this meteorite while I flip you guys around. Oh, I'd looked everywhere for this for a long time, and I knew that it was going to take a while. This was a goal that wasn't going to be achieved overnight. I knew that this was going to be something that I had to keep my eyes open for, diligently look for, and then give my left leg for. I knew that before I even went looking for it. And I get on, I don't remember, eBay, Etsy, whatever one it is that I've shopped on once or twice before I get a notification that there's a piece of Shoto Palisite available. And I was like, what? Yes, Spot's first meteorite she bought from Kyle. That was her ceremonial first piece. I love that. And now that you've opened that bag of chips, I bet you can't eat just one. Especially after you see some of the beautiful stuff I have today. So I find out that there's a piece of Shoto Palisite for sale. Whoops, sorry, wiggle, wiggle. We're going to take a ride anyway, so. And I look, and it's a seller I know. Like, I know. Not just one that I've bought from, but one that I've talked to. And he's part of our meteorite group, right? And I just came uncorked. I was like, did he fall down and bump his little head today? What's the matter with him? Why would he sell the Montana Palisite to anybody but the Montana collector? I'm like, oh my gosh, what in the world is going on right now? So this auction opens, and immediately it's like so bid out of control that like I can't afford it. It was actually a smaller piece than the one I have. Immediately. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Sorry, I'm fighting this tripod while I'm trying to visit with you guys. Oh, so he finishes this auction and he starts another one, which actually is the piece that I got. And I'm like making videos and stuff. I'm like, who even wants this Shoto Palisite? Are you even sure you're pronouncing it right? Are you sure it's not Chateau? Like, I was being so saucy, like so salty and saucy over this, right? And like, it's such a joke. Like, why would anybody even pay attention to this? This is not a meteorite anybody even wants. Like, of course it is, but I was being salty. Anyway, this piece came up for auction, the piece that I have, and it was like Snoozeville. Nobody outbid. They bid less on this one than they did the first one. I'm assuming that the first one hit the market. Everybody had the same thought as me. Oh my gosh, here's my chance. And they all dove on it. And somebody who wanted it worse than me got it. Now the second one came around and I was the one that wanted it worst of all. I'm sure of that. So that's how that turned out. But I didn't pay as much for it as I thought I would. I paid plenty for it. Let's say that. But sorry guys. Let's try that one more time. Okay, we got you in here, but you're looking out in outer space. Okay. All right, we did it. Woohoo! So let's look at these Montana meteorites first, since we've got them out. Like I say, 2 dots, it's kind of not the prettiest meteorite. I've seen big dinner plate slabs of it for sale, like at Tucson, but it's definitely out of my budget at that size. So that little like blue-gray flake that you see right in the middle of that is a chondrule. And that's how, like, if you're out rock hounding looking for a possible meteorite, this is most likely the kind of meteorite that you're going to find is a chondrite. I know, right, Spot? Oh my goodness. I was just a mess over that dang auction. So you see that there's quite a bit of metal in this. Quite a bit. No info on the back here. And you see that metal shines like a chrome bumper. It's nickel and camosite and, you know, a combination of metals. But you'll also see those chondrules in there. Dead giveaway. If you're looking for meteorites, you need to file a window into your rock and be able to see these 2 things happening. 1, chondrules, 2, metal. Here's my roundup. Roundup is a 3AB iron. So this is an all metal meteorite. This is not a chondrite. This does not have chondrules in it like the other one does. This, however, when etched, gets that Widmanstätten pattern that you're seeing on this little tiny edge over here. Here it is, not etched, just polished, etched. And that's a wide pattern because it is a 3AB iron. You'll see some other pieces with Widmanstätten pattern on them that are fancier, I guess you could say. They're more triangular and things like that. But like I say, that's a 3AB iron, so it's got a really coarse Widmanstätten pattern. Is to do some what? Everybody's only bought their meteorites from Kyle, huh? Excuse me. But you know that he's a trusted, reputable dealer. So there's nothing wrong with that. You know that he would never lie to you guys. You know, now maybe somebody might sell him something that they thought was a meteorite and isn't, but he's more cautious than that. So you guys know you're gonna be just fine. Okay, interesting, Rufo. Again, this is an ungrouped palisite. This doesn't look as pretty as some of my other palisites do, but like I say, there's a magnet and some desiccant in here to keep this stuck to this case. And then the desiccant to keep it dry. Hi, Mom. I do probably need a tripod, yeah. So usually the olivines that are inside your palisites are more an olivine color. But again, this one's ungrouped. There's nothing else like it. There are 7 ungrouped palisites in total. This is one of them, and they're not like each other, and they're not like the other palisites. That's what makes this one so interesting. Not that it fell in Montana, although that's why I want it. And I wanted to say, too, I love that little, like, man-looking bleb. there. And this one has a natural hole, kind of little hooky guy happening back here. So this is the best of both worlds. I get to see the outside of this stone and the inside of this stone. I couldn't be more proud of this piece. And it almost kind of has a little like Montana shape to it when you hold it this way. Absolutely extraordinary piece of meteorite, you guys. Ah, everyone's saying hi to Mom. So those are my 3 state meteorites. That's what I've been able to come up with. I don't think I've ever seen any of the other ones come up for sale. Hey there, chubby hubby. That's a beefy chunk, isn't it? Well, it's not, like I say, it's not. But for my collection, that is a gem. A gem. That's one that a lot of people will agree is, well, first of all, we're all going to agree that it's rare, it's hard to get, and that it's an exceptional meteorite. I mentioned it to one of my friends the other night when we were chatting, and he was like, "You have a piece of Shoto?" And I'm like, "Dude, yeah." I mean, I live in Montana, and not to mention that Shoto's literally like maybe 45 minutes away from where I live. So it's one of the closest confirmed meteorite falls to my home. So I'm not saying that only 7 meteorites have ever fallen in the state of Montana. I'm saying only 7 have been picked up by somebody who said, "Hey, that looks like a meteorite. Let's see if we can get it classified." So while we look at this beautiful mesosiderite, let's talk about the classification process. To get a meteorite classified, first of all, it has to actually look like a meteorite. Second of all, you have to cut off at least a 2-gram sample, and if 2 grams is way more than the piece is in total, then you give them like, I think it's 20% of your piece for science. And what science does with that piece is they do spectral analysis or whatever they do with it, but they look at all these metals and then they plot out what are these metals. And then they look at all these silicates and they plot the silicates out as well. And so these should graph, and we've done this with terrestrial rocks too. So there's a plane that terrestrial rocks run on this graph. And then there's several other planes where these different types of meteorites plot onto this graph. And that confirms usually that this is a meteorite and what type it is. There are a few really, really unusual types that then need to go to isotopic testing, which is more expensive and more detailed. But for the most part, it's that simple. It takes a long time because there's quite a backlog excuse me, of meteorites waiting to be classified. And if your meteorite isn't a lunar or a Martian or something very interesting, it oftentimes will kind of get shuffled into the back. So that's a process that can take up to a year and sometimes even up to 2 years. And it's expensive. So there may be more than 7 meteorites in the state of Montana or the state of Kentucky or the state of whatever. But those are all that have been picked up by somebody who has a keen enough eye to say, hey, this needs to be classified. Oops. And then it is, then classified. Science keeps that piece, by the way, that you sent in for classification. They keep it. They keep it for science. And then all that information is plugged into the Met Bowl. It's given a name, a place name, if we can. If we know exactly where it was found, it's given a place name. Like my buddy Stephen, who found the Barnstable meteorite in Massachusetts. And then you can sell it as a classified meteorite. If somebody's selling an unclassified meteorite from your state, I'd be highly suspicious. because most of the meteorites throughout the states, excuse me, are classified. Somebody claims that they found a meteorite in the United States and it's not classified, I'd be highly suspicious. So these, like I say, this is my favorite meteorite. This is NWA 869. There, we got a clear view of that label. This is the same meteorite. This meteorite is super fascinating. Nope, we don't have a type on that either. It's an LL. So it means it has low metal, but there are pieces of this meteorite. It is just a big mishmash of everything. And oh, by the way, this is an affordable meteorite. There is an abundance of this meteorite, and it's very affordable. I love this piece, like I say, for that big elongated metal bleb up at the top. Let me see if I can touch this and get you guys a little better focus. And then also all those beautiful chondrules in there. All those round, smushed up chondrules. And there's so many different colors. They're blues, they're grays. Here's an unpolished side of this. I've got more colorful meteorites, but as far as like availability and price, oh my goodness, you cannot go wrong with some 869. It is a beautiful meteorite. Now my friend cut and polished this piece, and look at that polished job, you guys. That thing is smooth as butter. If you're shopping from Topher Spin Meteorites and anything says that it is polished by Space Jewels, I promise you that thing will look like butter. It will be beautifully polished. This other piece, let's see. This other piece was not cut and polished by my friend Jules. They did a nice job on it, but yeah, like I say, I just can't get enough of NWA 869. I think it's a very beautiful meteorite. It's loud and proud. It says everything it has to say. You guys see all the little like negative where the metal isn't, the little round spots in there? Again, those are the chondrules. And what's neat about chondrites, meteorites in general, but chondrites, is they predate some of the solar system stuff. Some of them are older than Earth itself. That blows my mind. The little tiny round little chondrules in there are like space dust bunnies. And they like blow around in space and they get a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger every time they bump into each other until they form these little chondrules, and then the chondrules bump into each other and pretty soon they form a meteorite, is the way that I understand it. Before your head started spinning. Let's see. Here's a pretty chondrule if I can get it open. My God. Oh, I feel like I'm going to break the case before I get it open. There it goes. What is this? Unclassified NWA. Probably was a very affordable meteorite. Again, the best of both worlds. Here's our outside. Even still has a little fusion crust on it. And here's our inside. Seeing all those little round chondrules in there, plus all the metal. All right, we don't have all day, so I'm going to boogie through a couple of these rather quick. And I wanted to show this one down here. This one is beautiful. This is why I love chondrites. This is an LL3, NWA 14007. The blob. This is, I purchased this just because it was beautiful. This is a Matt stream piece. Let's see if I have Matt's card in here. I should. All of the cards should be with these. I don't see it. Streaming Meteorites, I think is his. But there's like a blue one in there. And this blue one up here, when you look real close at it, if you blow it up and put it under magnification, let's see if I can do that for you. It kind of looks like a little peace sign. Let's see, where's our focus? Let's tap it now. And let's get so close that you guys can see my heartbeat. We're gonna have to wait for that camera to quit shaking just a little bit. Look at all the colors in that. Yellow, red, blue, gray. It's thinly cut. Oh man, that big blue one just steals my heart. Where's the metal? It's an L, so there shouldn't be a lot. Ooh, I see it. There's a little there. There's a little over there. Ooh, right there. Little bits of metal. Do you see how little they are? Isn't that a galaxy stone? Oh my goodness, you guys. And of course, the camera really just doesn't do it justice. Let's put it on the white too and see if that... Holding it super still would probably help. Let's see, focus. Putting it down actually would probably help. Putting some light on it. Let's see what that does. Yeah, look at this stuff happening in there, you guys. Mirror polish. Let's flip it over. Oh my goodness, you guys. Yeah, I love that little piece. That was again a little auction that I won, and I didn't think I was going to. I was like, ooh, that stuff's going to be expensive. It's beautiful, and it was. But I snuck that one, just snuck it out of there. Yeah, Matt's stream he's really well known for having kind of unique stuff. Kind of higher end stuff. Let's see. I think I'm kind of done with that case down there. That's not really... Let's grab a few more. We'll look at a few more. We'll do the whole tripod one more time. There. Nope. There. Oh, I got a little stiff sitting on that bucket. My 869 goes in here. Ouch. Really? My hip. 869 there. This is it right there. And where'd I put my stators? I set them somewhere in arm's reach. There they are. All right. Oh, here's the streaming meteorites. I'll show you guys. I tend to not even look at Matt's stuff because I usually just can't afford it. But this is the card I got for my Shoto Palisade. I did buy my Shoto from Matt, like I say. So, streaming meteorites. Come on. There we go. if you think you need to buy from it, in order to carry a positive action, we must develop here a positive vision. Ah, isn't that neat? Okay. Oop, let's see if I can get it back in the... I like to keep my cards, at least my cards too, in the bags too, so they don't get gross. Some of them are just in the like, little card, like baseball card holder things, but some of them I keep in a baggie. They're not a COA, they're just an identification card. Excuse me. Any kind of classified meteorite, your NWAs probably not, but any kind of classified meteorite that you buy should come with a COA and possibly even a chain of provenance, where it'll come with a COA from each of the sellers or previous owners who've had that meteorite. And that also just helps to build credibility for your piece and actually can add value to your piece. If it was in an important collection at one point in time and it has an important collection COA, or a lot of them that were like in universities will have a university number on the meteorite, those kinds of things can add value to meteorites. So I don't keep my COAs with my meteorites. If I'm ever robbed, you're going to have one heck of a time selling these without the COAs. And I have the COAs that go with these meteorites. So if I find you, I'm going to know it was you. Not to mention, there's a lot of people who, you know, the guy that sold me the Shoto-Palisite, I'm not kidding you, he could probably identify that piece out of, if you put it with 1,000 other palisites that look very similar, he'd tell you that's the one I sold. That was in my possession. These rocks, we get really attached to them. And it's so much so that a lot of times guys can look at a rock, like we'll be doing our show and tell on Topher Spin meteorites, and we're like, yeah, look at this piece. And somebody will be like, hang on just a minute, I think I have the sister slice to that. And they'll get them out, and no kidding, they match up. So we've got people who are so visually and whatever connected to these pieces that they can spot the sister, you know, a mile away. It's insane. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that I don't keep my stuff together, and I do that for a reason. And then you'd be an idiot to try something like that. Oh, let's see. Let's look at Vaca Martha. Let's look at Gujba. Does it sound funny when I say meteorite names like Vaca Martha and Gujba? What else should we look at? Oh, Chelly, of course. The Chelly glass. And what else should we look at? Just a couple more sliced specimens, and then we'll get into some whole stones. I know Jeff was kind of interested in some whole stones, and I will suggest probably some places where you, let's see, Sarah Cho uncut would be a good one to look at, because that we are getting into some of that, like, ooh, yeah, the blue one. Wow, guys. Let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 more to look at. Let's grab a couple more. And, oh, we got to look at this one. I told you guys I might have some stuff in here that was more expensive per gram than my Shoto-Palisite. I've never touched this. I've never even opened the case. It's never been touched by a human hand, and I'm not even going to glove up and try to touch it. I don't want to. We'll talk about that one, because that's pretty cool. Let's see. I got to do some comments here really quick, guys. Than a bucket, but I actually have like a little thing, like a gardener's thing that I've strapped onto my rear end before. It's like a foam thing that I've tried for rock hounding. So I've like, get up and walk a couple steps with this foam thing on my butt, and then it's like there to sit on. But it was kind of weird. And I mean, I'm all right with weird. Trust me, I have no problem strapping something to my behind if it makes rock hounding more pleasant. But I didn't find how that was helpful. Maybe if you were gardening and the spot you were in was literally 6 foot by 8 foot or whatever, that would be handy. But as a rock hound, it was just like, if it wasn't just a big chunk of foam and I could put my rocks in there, maybe that would have been neater. But yeah, as far as butt bucket goes, or yeah, butt bucket, that's what we called that little thing, was the butt bucket. But yeah, sitting on this, it is just a 5-gallon bucket with a cushion on it. But yeah, it makes for sitting here and being able to show you guys meteorites kind of convenient. But yeah, it put my butt to sleep. Can you take a positive meteorite to a university and get it certified? No, you cannot. Or a possible meteorite, he says. No. And the reason for that is because a lot of universities have geologists and specialists, but there are only a handful of universities that have actual guys who know meteorites, and they're swamped. So you can take it to a university and ask somebody, but even if they tell you, yeah, they think it's a meteorite, that's still just one guy's opinion that he thinks it's a meteorite. Until it's, as far as certification goes, he can't write you a certificate that says, yeah, I think this is a meteorite, and that makes it a meteorite. You have to actually get it classified. And like I say, that means you donate 20-gram sample or 2%. Like I say, there's X amount of weight that they need to do their classification. And from that small piece, they take a thin section, like I say, and then they're looking at that thin section through some lights that do things, right? Okay. And then they're able to classify your meteorite. Again, do you think it's a palisite? Do you think it's a stony? Do you think it's a mesosiderite? It's hard sometimes. And then I've got some that achondrites. Oh, achondrites make me want to pull out my hair because they look like earth rocks, like in a big, big, big way. And the only way that you know that they're from space is if you first see them come through, see them land, see them coming, video, right? See them, witnessed, fall. Or 2, they have a very distinct fusion crust on them still. These are the kinds of rocks that even if I found them out in the field, I'd pick them up and throw them back down. And that is the stuff of my nightmares. I've got an achondrite. Let's just look at it really quick here. I bought this because it's a really well-known achondrite. It comes from Australia. It's Mount Egerton, and it looks like a piece of petrified wood. I've examined it under the microscope and everything, and the son of a gun looks like petrified wood. How maddening. How am I supposed to pick that out of the billions of rocks in the Rocky Mountains, and the Rocky Mountain frontline, and the plains, and the glacial alluvial deposits? And I would never pick that out. Never, ever, ever, never. And if I did, I'll probably throw it back on the ground, or think, oh, maybe I found a dino bone, or oh, maybe that's a piece of pet wood, space wood. Yeah, it's so messed up. So messed up. So when we get into things that are like achondrites, some of the achondrites, really good achondrites, have tricked the professionals in both ways. There was one on the Meteorite website, which is not a reliable source of information. But, and everybody said not a meteorite. Turns out it was. And then the other way, I know people very serious in the industry who have bought rocks that they swear look like an achondrite this, achondrite that, whatever type, right? And they send it in for classification, and it plots on the terrestrial line. And so then they're presented with the question, oh, our testing plots this rock on the terrestrial line. Would you like to go forward with some isotopic tests and see if that, changes things? Which again is very expensive. Okay, so you already paid X amount per gram for this rock that you thought was a meteorite. You've already sunk all the money into classification. You've waited all this time that goes into classification. You've donated your piece for the classification. Comes back. Do you want to spend some more money on it? It is, it is, achondrites have tricked the professionals both ways. Yes, it's a meteorite. No, it's not. So achondrites are the things of my nightmares. Like I say. So what kind of meteorite do you think it is? When you go into a university for a certification or yeah, I think it is, or yeah, I don't think it is. There's a lot more to consider than just whether we think it's a meteorite or not. What kind of meteorite do you think it is important as well. Let's see. I've got some pretty cool stuff to look at here, but I got distracted because I was checking it out. Let's see. Gooshba. I really like it. Yeah, Gooshba is one of my favorites. Visually, it's so cool. All right, sorry, Bear. I didn't mean to rant so hard on that. Hopefully you don't feel like I was attacking you. Gotta run. Aw, that's nice. Mom got a gift basket for taking care of the neighbor's Mew Mew. Into that sealed box. um, if there is that much demand for meteorite ID, seems like a business opportunity done right in a way that would be recognized, of course. Yes, what if the Earth rocks were blasted into space somehow and then found their way home? Is it still a meteorite? Very good question, Bear. Yeah, I mean, if we can prove that it's got a fusion crust on it and that is really something that happened, that is so hard to prove, though. Also, there's been a great debate on um, sometimes meteorites just kind of skip through our atmosphere like a rock skips across the top of a pond, and they get a fusion crust when they do that, right? And let's look at fusion crust while we talk about this. I'm yelling at Bear because he's got such great topics. Um, that would leave a fusion crust on this rock as it skips through our atmosphere. In fact, we've had videos. The one that stands out in my mind is a bunch of football game, and everybody was out videotaping the football game, and this meteorite just kind of comes through and then gone again. Okay, very cool daytime event. We don't often see meteorites in the daytime unless they're pretty significant, right? But this daytime event, and it just comes in, like I say, and just kind of skims on out. Now, what if that happens and a year later or 10 years later or 150 or a million years later or whatever, that happens again, and that meteorite actually does get trapped by our gravity in our atmosphere and does fall to Earth? How do you prove that happened? We think that may have happened, but it's one heck of a thing to prove. So there are still some gray areas where this is a very active, growing, evolving science still, and that's one of the things that is still really exciting about space exploration and meteorites and things like that. We're still learning a lot. We're getting our excuse me, we're getting our OSIRIS-REx samples back. We're doing samples on we're doing explorations on Vesta. And so we compare a lot of our rocks to Vesta, a lot of our meteorites to Vesta. We assume that a lot of our meteorites come from a body much like Vesta. So, and then, there are some like our pallasites that may have come from slightly more developed bodies than Vesta because they've got a rocky core of sorts, So there's a lot going on and some still unanswered questions. One thing that really excites me is the idea of panspermia. A lot of our meteorites have carbon in them. A lot of, are carbonaceous meteorites. That's some cool stuff there. And they have amino acids. They have, they have all the building blocks we need for life. Not saying that happened, but it's an evolving science. Spotted said something about the demand for classifiers for these people who are doing this. There is a demand for it. Absolutely. However, the science and the time it takes to get to be a classifier is a serious dedication. It's a lot like becoming a doctor. To get to be, you guys, like, I know a lot about meteorites. I know a lot about meteorites, but I know like a drop in a bucket compared to some of those guys that are out there doing classification. And so what happens is a lot of times these guys will specialize in one type or another, and then we'll take what we think, if this looks like it could be lunar, this looks like it could be Martian. So the best guy to do the lunar stuff is this guy, and the best guy to do the Martian stuff is this guy. And if you want just an ordinary chondrite classified, take your pick, or this guy's maybe better at it. So it is a yeah, there's a demand for it. Absolutely. The workload on those guys is monumental. So yeah, if that's, hopefully there are some kids out there who want to get into this, because we need the next generation of these guys stepping in and filling these shoes, if not making it a more readily available thing. More than the more too that technology becomes a thing. We're teaching the STEM things in schools, and we're teaching that the sciences and stuff. Maybe there'll be young women who this interests, and we'll have some female classifiers someday. Let me grab my coffee really quick, guys. It's probably cold, but I don't care. Okay, let's see. I was gonna maybe grab one or two more. Yes, this one for sure, because the chondrules in it are amazing. And we were gonna look at some fusion crust. This guy. In fact, we'll do that first. You guys have probably watched meteorite shows before, and they talk about how thin the fusion crust is, and how it's one thing that's really quite commonly misinterpreted when people are looking at rocks. They're like, but it's got a fusion crust on it. And we're like, no, it doesn't. Let's see if I can find one of my meteor wrongs. Not really. One of my very first meteor wrongs that I thought had a fusion crust on it, that thing was a little bit thicker than eggshell. The fusion crust I thought I saw was a little bit thicker than an eggshell. And I know now like how absolutely wrong I was. But in that moment, when I'm trying to learn and I'm finding earth rocks that are sticking to my magnet, and that, I'm grinding them out, and they kind of look metallic, and, maybe some of them even almost look like they have chondrite, but so do some earth rocks, right? So, excuse me, Jennifer, have I said hello to you yet? What are we talking about here? I gotta see this. Right. Okay. So then Rufo says, Rocky, that has happened. They found a mix of earth rocks and tektites from a large impact, but then it's a tektite, right? Right. A tektite is some earth material that has been affected by a meteorite impact. So whether it's sand that's turned to glass, or whether it's, whatever, dirt that's been made molten, or whatever impact. And then there's things, like the coquino, whatever it's called, at the Arizona crater. It's like really fine shocked quartz. So there's lots of different impact materials. In fact, I have a shocked quartz that I need to add to my collection, put it in the case. That is part of a goal today. And what else do we have? Tektite, maybe not meteor, right? It has to actually come from space and enter our atmosphere to be a meteorite. Meteorite has to fall on the Earth, actually. It's just a meteor while it's going through the air. Well, that visible light you see is a meteor. meteorite once it hits the ground. And start chucking them towards the earth and see what happens. And when we had our buddy Ian Benjamin, Mr. Benjamin, in our meeting the other night, we told him when he goes to Mars to please think of us and please send rocks. And we were like, what about that? What if they're flown in? Are they meteorites? So what about it? What about the return samples? Is that a meteorite? Came from space, came re-entered through our atmosphere. I say no. I say it's a sample. It's not a meteorite. Ones that are fun to use and forge and make great fire steels. That's all that Chubby Hubby knows about. Forged in Fire did an episode where they had to make a meteorite knife. Damascus, I think they made it. A meteorite Damascus. That would be tricky. I've heard it's kind of not real fun. That it's really not a cool metal to try to work. It's happened though. We know of things like all the way back into like the Egyptian pyramids. They were using tektites and things in their jewelry, and so I mean, and knives and things once in a while, but volcanoes have been known to launch debris pretty far into the atmosphere. Spot, there is a volcanic meteorite. It's called, hang on just a second. I just got a picture of it in my package from Sue. I know all the names of these. I just can't remember when I've got a camera looking at me. It's called ErgCheck. ErgCheck 001 or 002 is some of the oldest volcanic material. Here's an 003 ErgCheck. Not quite the same though. The original ErgCheck is one of those that really, really, really messed up the experts. But yeah, ErgCheck 001. So ErgCheck, I don't know if you guys can see that, or ErgCheck 002. ErgCheck's another dense collection area, kind of like NWA or Antarctica. They're let's see, and get melted and smashed into the ground and whatnot. I agree, Bear. That definitely, I agree. CH is right about using meteorites. There's diamonds that are considered extra treasures from space here on Earth. There are diamonds in meteorites, but they are so tiny. They are micro. And as far as I know, no sizable diamonds have ever been discovered in meteorites. So I'm not entirely sure that that's not maybe internet sensations. Maybe what we do kind of get out of some of our meteorites is the olivines, and I've seen them extract the olivines out of the meteorites to make, you know, jewelry and things with. But I'm gonna sip this really fast one more time. It is cold, but I don't care. It's delicious. And I think I caught up a little bit, so we're gonna turn around. I did pick out a whole handful of stuff here. I'm excited to show you guys. Jim Hunter, welcome. Interesting. And we'll see you, Sandmaker. Thank you so much for stopping in and hanging out with us. Interesting. All right, let's get you guys turned around here. Oh, I don't know about that, Angie. Like I say, I know a lot about meteorites, but there's still a lot more to learn. Yeah, for sure. Come back and check this out. Ooh, sand maker. And of course, we're always trying to do the tripod tricks without pushing any buttons, right? There, we'll work with that. I wanted to talk about fusion crust first. That's why I pulled this meteorite out. So we'll do that one real quick. Again, unclassified. Oh, it is classified. So we had seen before where we get these NWA, XXX, or unclassified NWA, or whatever, without a number. Just like that erg check picture that I showed you, and it was erg check 003, NWA, they can be classified. And this is NWA 7538. It's been classified as an LL5-6 chondrite. And this particular piece was cut at the Meteorite Mansion 2022 by my friends at the Meteorite Mansion. All right. Again, it's an LL5-6, so low metal, low metal. You see it in there, but it's very small. And what I really like about the L's is the chondrites. Boy, you can see them in there. They're just round as round can be. They're not of especially pretty color like that one that we were saying looked like a galaxy stone. But if you look at the very edge of this rock, you see that fine little black line running around the edge of that rock? This is one of my most beautifully freshly fusion crusted stones in my entire collection. Do you see how absolutely micro fine that little black line is around the edge of this meteorite? This is so beautifully fusion crusted and so completely fusion crusted that it doesn't even look like the same rock on the other side. Ready? So there's a couple of things that we can see here. We can see those contraction cracks, those fine little contraction cracks as this thing was getting hot. So I want to point out, like, I want to zoom in just a little bit. I want to point out to you guys. Can we set it there? You guys get a good look at it? Does palm trees not help? All right. So how fast does, when you guys see a shooting star or a meteorite, how fast does it fly across the sky and disappear? Usually just a couple of seconds. Maybe 5 or 6 tops, maybe 7 or 8 tops if it's got a really, really long, if it's not coming straight down to Earth and it's got quite a long trajectory, you may see it for a few seconds. In that few seconds, that's only enough to get that much of the outside of that stone hot. It's not getting so blazing hot that it's melting any more than just that little outside. It's not melting into the meteorite at all. And so when you see it, it happens, like I say, so fast. It gets darn hot. Hot enough that it, ablates the outside of this, melts it. That's a beautiful fusion crust, you guys. Beautiful. But it's so fast. And what happens too when meteorites are coming through the atmosphere is they enter what's called dark flight. So after you see the visual part of it melting and burning, it continues to be traveling through our atmosphere, but at this point in time, it is slowed so much that it quits burning. Again, it's still going through the atmosphere. And when they land, they're generally going about as fast as a golf ball. So our atmosphere does a really good job slowing them down, but they keep traveling after they got hot. They keep traveling. And you know what happens when you're moving through the air at a fast rate of speed? It cools you down. So they're really not hot for more than just a couple of seconds. And they're really, unless it's an enormous event like Tunguska that wipes out a forest, they're usually not hot when they hit the ground. They're usually completely cold by the time they hit the ground. You can see where little pieces of that fusion crust have broken off during the cutting process on the edge there. But yeah, look how absolutely hair thin that is. It's thinner than hair. But yeah, that's a beautiful fusion crust, you guys. I'm going to get a good look at a fusion crust. There's one for you. Anyway, I like to keep that in this case, LL3 side out, because you just don't suspect that. When you see that beautiful L3 material, you just don't expect that gorgeous fusion crust on the other side. All right, moving on. Whoops. Stay in there. We talk about like the outsides of rocks. This is a Saracho. I'll turn it around for us. And I've heard people pronounce it different. I pronounce it Saracho. This is a palisite. So this is a high metal meteorite with the olivine crystals. And this is what it looks like, as you would find it on the ground. It's incredibly magnetically attracted. In fact, it's almost hard to peel a palisite off of a magnet. I have a piece of Saracho cut right here. It's not the nicest cut. I'm not going to kid you guys. It's not the nicest cut. But I'm a budget collector. And my buddy did this piece. So I wanted to support him. And this was a small enough a piece that it was affordable for me. So it's kind of deteriorating in this box a little bit. It's okay. You get the idea. Here's Saracho cut and polished. Well, cut and coated in something, some kind of protective coating. But the metal has been etched in this meteorite, which also adds to its beauty. I love that pattern that you see in the metal there. Yeah, they all were telling me that they've all bought their first meteorite from you, Kyle. That's cool. I don't sell a lot of meteorites. I have, well, that's interesting that silicate's reflecting there. I've made, meteorite jewelry and sold a little of that, but I've donated meteorites to the school and I've given a few pieces away here and there, but that's not always my game. I want to maybe someday sell some pieces that I've cut and polished. And again, I want to cut a piece with you guys someday, but there's one of my only whole palisites. Like I say, I want to have that in my hand. I want to know what it feels like. How heavy is it? What's it look like? How does it stick to my magnet? Those are all things that when I'm making up my meteorite collection, those are things that go into consideration. I don't usually just purchase a piece for no reason. Let's talk about Chelly. We talk about these meteorites with excellent stories. Let's talk about Chelly really quick. Do you remember waking up that morning and seeing it on TV? I'm reading the comments really quick over here. Let's see, I'll put Chelly in here for you guys to look at real quick. Oh, I know, Rufo. It's like I say, that's the stuff of my nightmares. Rufo says, I don't want to think about how many I have found and tossed in the Utah desert. Lots of magnetic rocks I've tossed. Same, but I do honestly feel like the more meteorites you look at, the more educated you are about meteorites, the more you get into it, I think the better chances you will have of not discarding something if you actually found it. I have a lot of rocks that I've self-collected and that were close. They're darn close. They're things like magnetite or ironstone, again. Or you know, some slag or something, you know, some really good looking meteorons, but you've definitely got to find a crap load of meteorons to find a meteorite. That is definitely for sure. And, you know, unless you're lucky like that woman up in Canada who had one come through and land on her bedroom pillow, you're probably not going to find one if you're not looking. All right, so Chelly. Chelly was fascinating. It's LL5 chondrite. Is not the most beautiful, not the most spectacular. There's a little metal bleb sticking out up there. That's pretty cool. Nicely fusion crusted piece. So this is probably what you're, oh, my light just went yuck, yuck, yuck. Let's bring this over. So probably what you're looking at here, this was probably the original outside. The outside as this piece originally entered the atmosphere. And we all know that Chelly bolighted. It exploded. It made a sonic boom and it blew up. So this is probably where it blew up and it actually crusted over just a little bit more. You can see chondrules through there. Those little round things on the edge over here. You can see some of the interior features through that secondary fusion crust, we call that. Again, first fusion crust broke off and still ablated some as it went through the atmosphere. And here's another just little piece. There's the inside. You can see that this is like this other L that we looked at that was very light colored on the inside. You can see Chelly's trying to do that. It's trying to peek out of there and be that light colored meteorite. So that's maybe even got a little bit of rollover lip on it now that I look at it up close and on camera, where that fusion crust rolled, pushed back just a little bit over that unablated side. I could be wrong, but it kind of looks that way. A neat little piece. Gosh, it really might be rolling, you guys. This is getting harder and harder to get a hold of. At first, there was just tons of this to pick up, like, I mean lots of it, lots and lots and lots of it. And it's getting harder and harder to find pieces of this now. It's getting scooped up and put into collections. Let's see. Was that in 2006? Are we talking about Chelly? 2013, I think it fell. Or 03 maybe. I think there's a 3 in there somewhere. Let's see. I'm going to read some more. Oh. Interesting. I'll have to check that out, Bear, the Cody's Lab video. It happens once in a while. Oh, and that Shoto Palisite, by the way, was picked up at an estate sale and then classified. Only meteorite in my personal collection was a freebie from a seller. Nat Geo, since they forgot to put it in their boxes, they don't sell a box anymore. Really, I have one of those little Nat Geo. Was World Kyle, was that the one that you like? It was for kids, like a little Nat Geo, and you like dug the meteorite out of the little clay thing, and there was a little Tektite in there too. I have one of those. I want one of the meteorites that has the crystals, the olivine crystals in it. So that would be a palisite. Let's see. I'm gonna grab one real quick because my still water is beautiful. We just looked at Saracho palisite. Saracho is quite common. It doesn't mean it's necessarily super affordable, but oh, I gave my palisite to Ian Benjamin to look at. That's okay. He can look at it. Or like my Shoto palisite. But yeah, they're actually, some of the pallasites are so pretty, especially if they etch the metal. Here's the sonic boom, the glass that came from. Again, that sonic boom broke a bunch of the windows, and that's what actually hurt people, was that they ran to the window to see what happened, and then the sonic boom was quite delayed. They saw the event first, and then the boom came and knocked all the glass out of the windows, and it blew glass into people's faces. I don't think it didn't kill anybody. I'm 100% certain of that, but it did injure quite a few people. Let's see. Oh, you guys are crazy. Be careful, Rufo. Make sure you don't overpay. Like I say, there's a lot of really common meteorites that are super affordable. Chelly's, like I say, getting a little harder to get nowadays. But man, I remember waking up the day that this fell. There we go, 2013. That's what I thought. And turning on my news and the surround sound in the house, and rewatching the video, rewatching it and rewatching it and rewatching it, and it just blew my mind. And I'd let the surround sound just shake the house so that I could get kind of a feeling of what these people were going through. It just absolutely blew my mind. And I was not a meteorite collector at the time. I wasn't even a rock hound at the time, but man, it blew my mind. And when I got into meteorites and realized that I could own a piece of Chelyabinsk, I was like, oh, heck yeah. Must have material for me, because it was just so fascinating. So let's go to this little guy that I've never held with my human hand and never will. I barely even take it out of this bag, so we're doing that for you. This is Cranfield. There's no type on this because this was found by Matt Stream on 5/1 of 2022 at 9:07 a.m. and it fell on 4/27 of 2022. So this was literally picked up again. This was a witnessed fall. And this was picked up right just as soon as it possibly could, before any of Earth's atmosphere had a chance to affect this meteorite. So this is an extremely fresh fragment. And I got 0.94 grams. I actually got to hand pick these fragments out of all of the material collected by Matt Stream. And I picked a couple that had some nice crust on them. So what's super cool about Cranfield is we hadn't had a witnessed fall in the United States in like 6 years. It was insane. I mean, lots of witnessed falls, lots of things people caught on their video cameras coming through, lots of things happening, but no recovered meteorites out of those. It had been 6 years since the United States had a witnessed recovered meteorite. And again, my buddy saw this on the AMS. They checked out, him and his other buddies, they all checked out the Doppler data, and they decided, we got to go for this. This is potentially put rocks on the ground. We got to go. And sure enough, it had in fact. And again, found by my friend here and never touched by a human hand. He's had the foresight to glove up and take really good care in transporting these from the field to the lab, from the lab to the house, wherever they needed to go. Again, a piece of that was sent in for classification. We have to wait. I think it has since been classified, but I don't want to say what the classification is because I don't remember. Chondrite something. It's not an iron. It's not a palisite. It's not an achondrite. It's definitely a chondrite of some kind. But I've never touched it, and I will not ever. I don't even want to glove up and touch it. I just want it in there, just as pristine as it was the day that it fell. There have since then been 3 or 4 more recovered witnessed falls in the United States since this date. But yeah, we were in quite a dry spell. Like I say, it'd been like 6 years. So when this hit the market, I'm not joking, you guys. Like I say, to be offered a selection of these crumbs and to be able to hand select these crumbs and pay a lot of money for them was just, I mean, an absolute honor. And that's, I mean, you guys know how it is. We've got a small little community here. It's the same thing in the meteorite community. We are rooting for each other. We're cheering each other on. We are, you know, exchanging information. We are, you know, geeking out on rocks together. All of that stuff. So, like I say, honestly, to be offered an opportunity before this hit the market to say, hey, would you like a couple pieces? What would you like? Oh man, you guys. Oh man, I'm telling you, that was big for me. That was super big for me. It was super big for a lot of us. A lot of us. That was a big day. So that's a fall story. Very fascinating fall story. I like to tell and talk about. NWA XXX Unclassified. I love this piece. This was the first piece I bought from Topher, and I bought it on a live sale. Let's see. The neat thing about Topher's ID cards that he supplies you to put in your case is that he supplies a spot to. I paid $30 for that stone. And I love this stone because it's got this like hint of blue throughout. It's not the most overly chondrite-y, you know, chondraly beautiful thing, or it doesn't even really have a whole bunch of metal in it. There's a little. But it's got this like blue hue to it. And I'm a sucker for a blue rock. So again, just one that I bought because it's pretty. I do that once in a while too, just to have something pretty in my collection. I like that it self-displays pretty much any way you want it to, you know. It's pretty stone. Here's a possible CV3. This is a rather unique stone. The chondrules in that you cannot miss. If we've talked this entire show about chondrules and you have failed to understand that a chondrule are these round inclusions, this should clear that up for you. Chondrules can be small and they can be huge. They can run, I think some of the bigger ones are centimeter across or better. Hey there, good morning. Oh, it's definitely afternoon now. Hey there, 775, the Brian. So let's have a look at this again. The best of both worlds. We're getting the outside of this stone. Beautiful chondrules on the outside of this stone. Fusion crust pretty much worn away. But man, you want to talk about pretty inside. Oh, and that white fluffy cloud looking thing right there is a CAI, a carbonaceous inclusion, or a calcium aluminum inclusion, I mean, CAI. And a lot of that blacker stuff is probably a more carbonaceous material. And then just some beautiful chondrules. That one there's kind of altered. He's kind of not very round shape anymore, so we're going to call him altered. He's been squished and smashed a little bit, but the rest of them are all pretty round. Pretty uneventful, kind of easygoing looking meteorite. This doesn't look like it went through too much trauma out in space. That beautiful little CAI in there. Oh, I love that. I love you, Mama. I love you too, baby. Have a great rest of your day at school. Great CAI in that. Beautiful possible CV3 unclassified. I mean, we can look at this and say, boy, you guys, that's a meteorite. That doesn't even need a classification. I mean, a classification is nice to confirm that it is a CV3 or an LL3 or, you know, a classification is nice, but I don't mind an unclassified stone. You guys, I really don't. A lot of times our unclassified NWAs are more affordable because somebody didn't have to fork out the money to go get it classified, right? Like I say, that's an expensive and time consuming procedure. There are blue meteorites. Shut the front door. I want my first to be blue with killer regmaglyphs. It's not a very common color in meteorites. You can more often than not find blue chondrules than really kind of the blue matrix. I have one more kind of blue meteorite here. Let's look at it real quick. I'm a sucker for a blue. Any kind of blue. I'm a sucker in especially in meteorites. Me and my buddy Cliff, we fight over the blue meteorites. And I threatened when I bought this because it's pretty sizable, 3.76 grams, unclassified. It's a chondrite, we know that. And I was like, I'll buy it and then I'll chop it in half and we can each have half of it. That's pretty blue. About as blue as meteorites get. Yeah, I didn't need that meteorite in my collection, but I didn't not either. So, of course, we had to add the blue one. Oh, I have not found a meteorite. I joke, like I say, my buddy found the Barnstable meteorite, and I joke a lot that between the two of us, between him and myself, we've got over 20 years of looking and only one meteorite to show for it. So, no, I really enjoy visiting with my friend because there are a lot of meteorite hunters and very few meteorite finders. And no, I'm not talking about going to a known strewn field and finding a meteorite. I'm talking about finding one in the wild. My buddy looked for over 10 years. I've looked for 10 years. That's not terribly uncommon. When you're talking about a dry find, it's like finding a needle in a haystack, if not more than. So, it may be something I never achieve. But definitely it's an odd goal, right? Like, and I remember, okay, let's think about this, you guys. I live out here in rural Montana. I don't know, you guys can see me in there, can't you? I live out here in rural Montana. And so the first time I ever uttered the words, I'm looking for meteorites, to one of these old cowboys out here, I about fell off his horse, you know? Like, you're doing what? It's a rather niche hobby to be a meteorite hunter, especially, like I say, there's me. I'm looking locally. And then there's my friends who are out there like buying plane tickets and searching for the stuff that's falling. It doesn't matter if it fell here or if it fell overseas, they're getting on a plane and they're going to look for it, right? So that's two completely different hunters. Me and my little hobby hunting here at home, somebody who's going for a witnessed fall, or even somebody who's going to go witness or go visit one of these known strewn fields and hopefully find. No, that's pairing, right? When you go to, let's say you went to Chelly and you found a piece of Chelly, or let's say you went to Saracho and you picked up a piece of Saracho, or another one that's really common, let's see, was Dranino. And if you guys remember, did you guys watch the Meteorite Men and they went to Dranino and they got drunk with the Russian guys? and they were like camping out in the woods finding meteorites. So that's paired. You can go to a Dronino, find a Dronino meteorite, and be fairly sure just by like eyeball comparison. And I even filed a little piece of this because I wanted to see the inside of it. I filed a little window right there. This, you can pair that. You can field pair that. You can say, I was there. This was the known strewn field. So you don't need to necessarily take this piece into a lab and get it classified to say, yes, that's Dronino. When there's an abundance of that material in a location, in a strewn field, you can go there and pick it up as an amateur hobbyist and say, that's field paired. It should be a piece of that meteorite. Looks to be a piece of that meteorite. Do any react with the UV light? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. You know, I don't know right offhand which ones I have that do and don't. I want to say that I think I know one in my collection does, but I am not super certain where it's at the moment. Let me see. I'm going to put this back really quick. Okay. Yes, some of them do. Some of them even phosphoresce. Oh, I do have some with the caliche in them that fluoresces and phosphoresces. Exactly. Those are the meteorites I've found as well, Bear. I found some in a bowl at a rock shop, and then I purchased them. I hear they spook easy, so they're hard to find. This is a cool meteorite. Let's talk about this. This is Vaca Marta, which loosely translates to dead cow. Because this meteorite was believed to have hit and killed a cow. And there's one that was believed to have struck and killed a dog. And I should remember the name of it, but I can't. And I know some people who have named their dog after that. This is Goojba. I'm going to zoom you guys in really quick. And try to get you some kind of acceptable light. And then I need to go take a bio break really quick. Is it this one? What is causing the mad? There's sunlight coming in. I can't stop it. I can't get it to quit glaring. Let's see. What if I move the camera for you guys? Every time the sun shines on it, it just gets horrid. I'm sorry. You're going to have to just look at that for a second. I'll be right back. All right. So this is Goojba. This is one of my favorites. Where's it at? Goojba is just so backwards. It's almost like a palisite where you would have the olivine inclusions, only instead you have this silicate matrix with these metal blebs in it. Oh, so hard to stay still. If I block the sun, does that help? No, nothing I do makes this easier to look at. Okay, let's try tapping it. Nope. Put it back in the hand. Gooshba's pretty expensive, I'm not gonna lie. It's not huge, big available on the market. It's a bencubanite. Of course, it's a witnessed fall, which ups its price, right? So it's a bencubanite or a CBA. You can look for other bencubanites or CBAs that aren't as well known as Gooshba. It fell in the year I was born, by the way. I like that about it. And but they're just not, I mean, Gooshba's like, I think, in fact, Bencuban, the type sample for bencubanites, I don't even think is quite as pretty as Gooshba. There's one out there in, I know, Gooshba. Oh man, I drooled over Gooshba before I got a piece. Absolutely just, oh. And I know some people who have some beautiful slices of Gooshba, but this is like a little Gooshba pea. It's like a little piece of Gooshba. And it's got like all of the Gooshba goodies happening inside of it. It is just the coolest. The coolest. Like I say, I ood and odd over Gooshba. There are other bencubanites, but this one, oh man, stole my heart. Who's there? Astromissy? Well, Marissa, how are you? I was just saying, I know people who have some far more beautiful Gooshba than me. You were the one I was thinking of. You guys, Marissa's piece of Gooshba. Oh, my goodness. If you see Marissa's Gooshba, you'll never forget it. Seriously, it's beautiful. Anyway, another piece that I would really like to have in my collection, but I don't yet, is well, let's see if I can even think of it. Is Bondoc. And when Bondoc is cut and etched, the etch to me looks like a Minecraft, like it looks like a Minecraft material to me. It just kind of blows my mind. Yeah, so I don't have everything I want in my collection. There's definitely some stuff out there that I can want and want and want. Marissa was cracking me up the other day. We were talking about the return samples and what we were speculating what kind of meteoritic material they may be compared to. Bondoc is a must-have. If you've got one, show it to us tonight, Marissa. If not, then we need to be getting some, you and I. Let's see. What was I just saying? I only have one tiny meteorite from China and it's probably fake. You're probably right about that. I don't know. China actually has some legitimate meteorites that are really, really cool. Ooh, I bet it does, Bear. I bet metal does explode on your cold garage floor. And let's see, I was saying something. What was I going to say? Oh, let's look at some of the big rocks. I know Jeff was interested in some of the samples that I buy just because I'm hoping to find one someday, right? And so I think some of these hand samples, these unclassified, kind of ugly, weathered meteorites, man, that sun is coming through that window. You guys, look at it. Holy cow, it feels so good. I'm just going to soak up that vitamin D. I really should tone it down for you guys so you could see what's happening here, but oh my goodness. We haven't seen sunshine like that in a minute. Okay, so I do buy some of these uglier, kind of weathered meteorite samples so that if I'm out hunting, hopefully I've got my eye trained a little better to some of these external features. You can see this one's really desert varnished. This part was probably in the ground. And it's super weathered. It's cool. It's got hitchhikers in it. I don't know if that's actually the right term for it, but do you see the actual like desert sand chunks that are stuck in the crack? That busted somebody trying to be a faker one time. Somebody said they found a, meteorite in whatever state, and they sent it in for classification, and somebody was like, how did Africa sand get in your Tennessee meteorite? That ain't right. So don't try to fake it. We will catch you. Scammers beware. There's a lot of really smart people out there. Here's one that I bought to cut and did cut. Again, here's the outside. Sorry that sun is just blasting this piece, but again, I can't not. Guys, it feels so good. This is not an expensive rock. Pretty though, isn't it? Look at the metal is veining through that. Again, if there's chondrules in there, they're so tiny. Oh, there's a few. Look, there's one, there's one, there's one. The rest of them are pretty darn tiny though. Kind of an uninteresting, ordinary chondrite. Let there be light. I bought mine from a shop in Virginia City back in the day. All right. Again, I bought one from a rock and gem shop, a local one. And it's legit. So was the black fusion crust beneath the dirt? No. Right? Okay, so that's more like desert varnish. That's kind of been polished by the dirt and sand blowing up against it. All fusion crust is done gone, long gone on that piece. It's just been sandblasted, polished by the sand. That's it, yes. It's calling to inform you that we found your rock. Let's see. I got one more great big chunker, and this one's very interesting. It's got some interesting colored caliche stuck on it. Look at the color of that. That blue, green, orange colored caliche. This is a dog crap meteorite too, by the way, you guys. This thing is just weathered and really just generally kind of horrible and ugly. But it's got this like weird blue colored caliche on it. And it's absolutely fascinating to look at underneath of a microscope. I'm almost certain that's not the only spot. Yeah, here's another like blue colored spot here. Blue-green. Dog crap. It's a term that we affectionately use for meteorites like this in our group. We call them dog crap meteorites. We actually call them dog shit meteorites, but crap was better for YouTube, I thought. So it really is. I mean, you guys are cracking me up in the chat. But it's a nice sample. I mean, it's a nice sizable sample. I've polished a little window over here. There's not a whole lot to see. Like I say, pretty weathered, pretty unordinary meteorite. Other than that really weird caliche. And these are not expensive meteorites, you guys. You can buy... This is a beautiful little display. though. I'm not gonna deny that. It's definitely not worth getting classified though. It's just an ordinary NWA, Northwest Africa chondrite, ordinary chondrite. Really nothing overly exciting. So keep its price low. Don't classify it. Sell it as an unclassified stone. Put it in your collection as an unclassified stone. Like I say, those are ugly meteorites. Those are not what normal people would put in their collection, but I want to cut them. I want to cut them and look inside of them. I want to add them to my collection. I want to have a piece that I can pass around to some little kids. So why not? Why not have just a couple cheaper unclassified NWAs in your collection? Again, be sure you're doing your sourcing. Be sure you're buying from a reputable dealer. I've mentioned a few as we've gone along. I like it too, Angie. I love that little caliche on there. Like I say, that is just so bizarre. I've looked at a lot of meteorites and I've never seen a blue, green, orange cliche on them before ever. And like I say, I've spent so many hours with a microscope checking that out, and it's just beautiful. That just even that one little spot right there, I could look at with a microscope for far too many hours. So you don't have to spend a lot. You don't have to spend a lot of money to have a really fascinating meteorite display. You guys, today we've looked at some really cool, really beautiful stuff. Again, I think it's important to have some of these. I'm looking for meteorites. I want to know, what do they look like? Could I find that amongst the hundreds of rocks out in the fields out here? Could I find that? Because 99.9% chance that you're going to find a stony meteorite, a chondrite meteorite, than a bencubinite or a palisite or again an achondrite. They're just, without seeing those fall through our atmosphere, the like carbonaceous meteorites, I've heard that as soon as it rains on them and they get wet, they just kind of turn into a mud puddle. It doesn't take much to break them down and they become part of the Earth's environment, unfortunately. So if they're not collected quickly, some of them just don't cut it. They just don't make it. So I'm just piling a few of these that we looked at back up here. Because we looked at some super fun stuff. Goojba was great. You guys enjoyed the Goojba. Shelly, we've talked about this meteorite hitting a cow. I mean, we talked about, meteorites in my collection. There's sure not much to look at. That's not much to look at. But you guys, that was a big day for us. Marissa, are you still here? I bet your cranfield's nicer than mine, but oh man, do you remember getting to pick those out before they hit the market? And how we'd been waiting for so long for a witnessed fall in the States before we finally got that. Oh yeah, I was saying Marissa was cracking me up the other day, speculating what kind of meteorite material we might compare the OSIRIS-REx samples to. And she's like, watch, it's nothing that we even have, like nothing we can ever have, and it'll just be a big tease. Like, she was so cracking me up. Like, her witty humor in that situation was cracking me up. She may have said other things, but, well, maybe a lot of that isn't necessarily appropriate for YouTube. Again, some of the things we say in our meteorite meeting just, yeah. Oh no, Bear. There are very few meteorite dealers that I would recommend as well. I'm going to throw this one out here really quick. Because there aren't a lot of female meteorite dealers out there either. This is Ashley Humphreys. And I got 55.82 gram unclassified NWA. It's one of these. Pretty sure it's the prettier one. Maybe not. Anyway, I'll weigh them before I put them back in the cabinet and figure it out. Affordable. Again, if you want something affordable, Ashley's probably got you covered. You want something that's a little more exotic? Go check out Matt's stream. If you want something that's pretty much, the meteorite that belongs to that card is in the case. Durr. If you want something that's right down the middle, something beautiful yet affordable, then Topher Spin Meteorites, and you can see his label down in there. Again, jewelry. I want to throw this out here too, especially since Marissa's in the chat here with us. Yeah, that was amazing. She said when we got to pick those out, man, oh my gosh, my face hurt that night from smiling so much, and it probably hurt for the next 3 days. Topher Spin Meteorites, again, he's kind of the him and his wife Sue. And you guys, I want to show you this really quick too. This is a package for our buddy Ian Benjamin. Look at the stuff, that the great lengths that Sue goes to make this fun for everyone to open. Again, it's not my package. It's for Ian. Oops, I'm going to get my hair out of there. My package was amazing as well, and always is. Let me see. All right. Oops. Come on. All right. This tripod. All right, look at that. Okay, yeah, so this little package here is for our buddy Ian. And this was my package. And I have a new meteorite in here, you guys. Should we look at it really quick? I've got all kinds of stuff in here. But where is my new meteorite? Right there. Oh, you guys. You guys. Oh. How cool is that? This is a dealer paired. Again, we can pair these. If we say, it was found in the same place, but, okay. To Ukrate, the air chocolate Ukrate, as a matter of fact. That's what they call it. And I don't have any melt breccias. I don't have any brecciated meteorites at all. Again, the breccias really mess my brain up because we get a lot of really convincing breccias here on Earth that look a lot like space rocks. And again, I cringe when I think how many of these maybe tossed back, that maybe I have tossed back. So I wanted to have a piece of that in my collection. Again, I want to have some of these other types that first of all, I want to have a lot that I may find. The possibilities of finding one of these is a little more realistic than this. But I want to have it in my collection just in case I cut something and I'm like, I need to go compare that. You know what? A side-by-side comparison with an earth rock will blow this will blow it out of the water. You'll know immediately side-by-side comparisons. Well, a trained eye would. Oh man, that's a nice piece too. I'm really proud to add that to my collection. It's been a long time since I got a new meteorite too. So that's a big one for me. That's a big deal for me. So again, I'm a budget collector. I wanna have a variety of things. You guys saw today, we barely even scratched the surface of this case. There is a ton more stuff in here. A ton more. Let's see, we're gonna go this way with it. We talked about a lot of my favorites today though, and we looked at, like I say, some super pretty stuff. So, here's another like really nice big hand sample. You can see a lot of the little blebby chondrules trying to show their way through that. That would be a neat one to find out in the wild. That would stand out to me like a sore thumb. But unfortunately, it's not always that clear sometimes they look like crap. And then like that, here's a serrachopalisite that's not been cut. Would I call it or would I toss it? I don't know, guys. It's the stuff of my nightmares to think about what I may not be catching on to sometimes. But yeah, let's check. Utah, I think is actually, like I say, Utah is, I think, one of the better places to look for Dinobone for sure. But for meteorites, I think I can't remember, but there may be some spots to look. We got to all meet up in Arizona someday. I think Arizona would be a fun place to go look. And the great thing about that display case is that the footprint is really small, but I get a lot of storage space out of it. And again, it's got 4 sides, and I've got space in here to keep adding to. And I've started a whole side for my earth rocks. And that's what kind of came crashing down the other day as my kid was trying to chop firewood in here. But yeah, it's a great case. I love it. I love it, love it. I'm going to maybe need to find somebody with a 3D printer, though, who can make me some more of these little guys. Because I tried to order some of these on the internet, and they want like 80 cents a piece for the little buggers. Anyway, moving along. The display case is really cool. I lucked out. That was a freebie. It was a jewelry case or sunglasses case or something at a gas station that went out of business over COVID. Local, unfortunately, but they were like, come get it. First come, first serve. And actually another gal said she was going to go get it. And I went up there to play. The band went up to do a gig like a month later. And I was like, hey, isn't that case that was supposed to get taken out of here? Like, didn't somebody say they were going to come and get it? And they were like, said they were going to come and get it, but they haven't. And I was like, They're like, do you want it? And I was like, yeah, I got my truck here right now. I'll load it up and get it out of here for you. And they were like, good, here's the key. And they literally went and got the key for me. They even helped me load it into my truck. So I got a free case, a free display case, just for being in the right place at the right time. And then, of course, I got my little Martian on my keychain. So what better place to put him? A little spaceman. Yeah, it's a great way to catch a case, right? Who's doing a live stream? What did I miss? Chris, can you still find their old episodes? Like even the Meteorite Men did an episode or 2 on the Salt Flats. I think you're right about that. So, but yeah, way to score a case. And I love that thing. Like I say, small footprint, really easy case. I love that. Anyway, what else do we know today? Hopefully I kind of covered some stuff, answered some questions for you guys. Like I say, a great way to get started in meteorite collecting is decide which of those avenues you're going to go down. Are you going to be a state collector? Are you going to collect just because it was pretty? Are you going to collect because it's got a great story? Are you going to collect because that's what you're looking for out in the wild? Because you want to do outreach with classrooms. There's lots of different reasons why to get into it. And think about it. I want to show you guys that piece of paper again. Where did I put it? Think about it. Decide what is it that you want? Do you just want something that's pretty and you really love the olivines and the etched metals, and you can have the best of both worlds with an etched palisite? Think about it. Decide what is your budget. I'm going to show you guys this again. Maybe. It's so hard to read backwards too. Location type, History witnessed hammer visual education birthday and science. Do you want it to check 1, 2, 3, 4 or more of those boxes, your meteorite purchase, you know? And then once you guys have kind of thought about it and you're like, you know, I really want my state meteorite, one that fell closest to my home, or I really want, you know, what is the most visually stunning palisite there is that, you know, I don't care about the price. Or what can I afford on my little budget? You know, there are things that are gonna be right for you and that aren't gonna be right for you, obviously. And a lot of us who start a meteorite collection don't start with that forethought. We just buy something, you know, we shoot from the hip and we buy something that we think we like. And a lot of times we'll kind of grow out of that. And in a few years, we're like, I have that ugly rock in my case. And I just, you know, somebody maybe else would love to have it, but you've got it. It's in your collection. and you may kind of just grow out of it later, you know? So to prevent that from happening, purchase with a little bit of thought and forethought. And I've told you guys before, you guys know where to find me. I'm on the Discord. My email is in my bio. Think about some of those things that I add to that list. Narrow it down just a little bit and we'll have a conversation. And we're not starting from the great big world of meteorites and what is it that you're looking for. I could ask you 1,000 questions and we'd still be looking at a chunk of meteorites like this. Think about it a little bit. Start checking off some of those boxes. What is my budget? What is my plan? Blah, 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 blah. And then if you still need a little bit of guidance and help, let me know. We'll get you down the right path. We'll get you looking at, you know, a much smaller variety of stuff that may interest you than just great big, like, you know, super extraterrestrial prices down to the terrestrial prices. So let me know if you guys need any help. Also, Sue, Topher and Sue, Spinato Sue, she is great. Have some correspondence with Sue. Tell her this is what I'm interested in. What do you have in your inventory? And she's really great about sending pictures and having a conversation with you until she finds what's right for you. So between her and myself, and we should be able to get you something that you love for a long, long time. Hey, thanks again, Bear, for sharing those links. Those are all so important. Met Bowl, Topher Spin Meteorites. Watch Topher Spin Meteorites on YouTube. There are a lot of really great episodes. They've been doing that for years now, a couple years now, all the way back to when those guys were just the guys sitting around having their chats together, really unedited stuff, all the way up to now where we do a really good job picking a theme and finding it. You know, Topher goes through and edits. He puts a lot of work into the videos nowadays and offers that to you guys for free. So take advantage of that material. It's highly educational material. Take advantage of that. Check it out. Let it play in the background while you're doing your work. You know, skim through it at 2 times speed, even if you need to extract the information from it. But it's there. It's available. Yeah, I think that's about all I had to say today. I'm gonna finish tearing this case apart here. I'm gonna get the dust out of it. It's pretty dusty, and like I say, there's the occasional like little dead winged bug, like gnat bugs and things kind of in there. So I'm gonna finish cleaning that out and then put all the earth rocks that fell when my kid was chopping firewood the other day, we're gonna get those set back in there. And then I have a lot of stuff that I'm going to be adding to the earth rocks side. Some stuff from Jeff, some stuff from Rufo, some stuff from Greg D. I got Greg D kind of actually in here already. He gave me a really cool piece of Herc. And I've got some more from Rufo too, but I like this piece because I can stick it in the stand things. And of course now it wants to fall back, but there it's got the case to lean on and it's like hovering in that case on the 2. I just think it's cool how it displays in this case. Let me show you real quick because it's really kind of cool. Never believes me when I want to turn it around. See what I mean? It just kind of hangs in there. And then I've made little shelves to start putting some of my stuff on. There's a Herc from my friends over in New York, my meteorite buddies. And here's some more Herc material. That one might have come from Rufo. I'm trying to kind of mix a little bit of it up. Local dino bone. Those are my finds. And then I have, this is my platinum ore with the monster face in it. You guys see the monster face? Right down here in the corner. Ooh, I saw a floaty go by. Did you see that dust floaty go by? Anyway, here he is hanging out here. And the big chunk that was sitting here on the little shelf I made fell down. And like there was some other stuff in here that all fell down. But, rawr, monster face. But yeah, we've got some gaps in the case. Some of it's out. I got the Windex ready. We're ready to get in here and clean this. Like I say, there's dust. And little floaty, see the little winged critters? Ew. That's gotta come out of there, guys. It's gotta. It's time. There's some meteorite that I've sliced here at the house. I should start adding that to people's goodie bags. You guys want little free meteorite slices? I should be doing that. Or offering them up for you guys. Actually, the platinum ore that I have is by far more expensive than a lot of unclassified meteorites are. Oh man, I've got some pretty stuff in here. Look, it needs cleaned up. It's getting all dusty. There's my Montana collection. Like I say, the real highlight of my collection. Of course, Goochba, he's got a spot front and center. Like I say, there's some gaps in my case. That's kind of cool, huh? That's been to space and back. Dreams are made to be plans, you guys. Dream big. Look, we got the Supernova air freshener in there. You get the Topher Spin Meteorite patch. We've got the LED cactus for the desert up here. Oh, and this is cool, you guys. Let me move around a little bit. That's a meteor rong that I found, and it's just helping this case not to slide off of here, but how cool is that, you guys? Oh, and we could get into that. I could talk about what's in this case for like an entire episode. Bear. And I told you guys I'm working on a 500 subscriber thank you boxes that are going out. So then, might be something I should consider tucking into some of those boxes is some little meteorite samples. I don't have anything that's extraordinary that I could even, brag about selling you guys. Really, I don't. But I do have some, interesting Conrad. I have some pieces in my collection that are like, that was, that piece that I had in there that was cut at the Meteorite Mansion 2022. That's cut by my friends. That makes that piece all the more special to me. So again, if you just want a piece done by Prairie Girl Rocks, I've got a couple little pieces I should. Again, I'm not really big onto selling meteorites. That's not really my forte, but I've got a few that I could tuck into some giveaways. Should say who else here today? Angie, Rufo, Kyle, Brian, Spot, Chubby Hubby. Should throw you guys into a drawing for a free meteorite. I may do that. And then or of those who are already included into that 500 giveaway, I may have my kid play a game with me. We'll roll a dice or something, and I've got, like I say, I've got like 3, 4, 5. I think I've got at least 5 packages that I'm still putting together and getting ready to go out. So we could maybe even just do like a dice roll and have my kid pick a number, roll a dice, and whoever wins gets a little freebie meteorite in their bag. So again, I've got some stuff that like I thought it was really cool at the time. And Angie, I don't have a lot of wire wrapped meteorite or tektite jewelry on hand. I think I have maybe 2 or 3 pieces, but Topher Spin Meteorites on Etsy, they've got the bulk of my merchandise as far as meteorite jewelry goes. So be sure to check them out. And like you see it here, you see what an absolutely fun job Sue does making a package. There's a reason why I partnered up with Sue to do meteorite jewelry, is because I know I don't even have to worry about it. I know without fail that she is going to do an A+ stellar job packaging and make you feel like you are the most important customer she's ever had. So I know because I've been her customer. So I have 100% faith in Sue, in that if you purchase anything from her, whether it's a piece of my wire wrap jewelry, a piece of her jewelry, or a meteorite, I have 100% absolute get behind faith that she will make you feel like you're the, like I say, most important customer they've ever had. So it's really good to feel like that when you make a purchase, to not just get a rock, which also is a really exciting experience, but to feel like it's Christmas or your birthday, it's just, oh man. And I try to take a page from Sue's book and to make you guys feel like that when you get a package from me. Presentation. And I don't want you to just open the box and it's all over. There, you opened it. Yay. Add the rock to your display case and move on with your life. That's no fun. I want you guys to remember getting that package, to remember opening that package and how excited you were about that rock. Even if it's just like I say, I was excited about that rock when I bought it and put it in my collection, but now I've got nicer things. That doesn't mean that somebody else wouldn't be just super stoked, right? What did you say there, Kyle? I gotta go back over to, I'm trying to make a cup of coffee here. And I've sent some packages out that aren't about presentation. I really have. I've sent some that are just about getting the bulk of the material to you. But everybody's time is important, and I want to read that. Anyone that opens my boxes has to clear their schedule. As a fair warning, get ready, Spot. Oh, Bear knows about it. He ordered a box from me and was like, holy moly. Like, kind of like that one that Karen's doing, like 3-part box opening. Yeah. Yeah, but that sure beats the alternative of opening it up and going, that was fun. Now it's all over. I think you just get more bang for your buck if presentation is there too, right? So, anyway, we got it, guys. We got meteorites everywhere, and I'm gonna use that air compressor my kids got me for Christmas a couple years ago to blow all the bugs out of here and the dust, and then we're gonna get it all put back together. And like I say, I've got some really cool earth rocks that I've recently been given. Here's like, oh man, and I'm looking at them right now. Like, you guys, Rufo sent some of that. Really, he sent some cool stuff that needs to go in the case. Some of this ore and stuff that Rufo sent, it's got to go in there. And the turds, I think the turds are in the living room. Oh my God, the turds are going. And I really want to work a piece of this ubicular material that he sent, but in the meantime, I'd be more than happy to put that in my case. I'm a sucker for an ubicular rock, you guys. I really am. And why? Because ubicular rocks really strongly resemble chondrites in meteorites. And so I like to have those two, earth rock, and here's chondrite, meteorite, and sometimes they can look similar. We'll just say that. So I like to have a little variety. So I'd be more than happy to stick that in the case. And like I say, the turds. Do you guys remember the turds? They're not really turds, but they sure do look like deer turds and bunny turds. Those are going in the case. Rufo sent those. Those are going in the case. So I've got some stuff I want to add to it. I've got a lot of work to do because that thing is funky. It's dirty. There's the dead flies and stuff in there. So yeah, it's long overdue. I've been eyeballing it for quite some time, thinking we gotta do something. This is getting to be a disaster. And I got a beautiful new brachiated eucrite that I can't wait to put in there. So get yourself a cup of coffee. Ooh, look, that's a special cup, isn't it? Spread it to the gods. You guys watch your Aussie Man reviews? I do. Anyway, yeah, I'm glad you guys jumped in today. I could talk about meteorites literally all day, and I'm going to. I'm going to take a brief break here, and then I'm going to jump right into the meteorite meeting with my gang tonight. So, I really think if you're serious about finding one in the wild, to whatever degree, just kind of serious, just really serious, any kind of discussion involvement you have in that is going to get you just a step closer to actually not chucking it back if you do find one. So there's nothing wrong with finding some meteor rungs. That's oftentimes the first step in finding a meteorite, is finding a lot of meteor rungs. The first step at getting good at something is often sucking at it. So don't get discouraged. I know Rufo said it was really discouraging to watch meteorite men and see them be so successful, and then to go out and try it. It was misleading. It misled a lot of people into thinking that it was easy to do. And it is. In a known strewn field, it's a lot easier to find a meteorite where they're known to be. It's not a guarantee. You can go to a known strewn field and hunt for a week and come out of there empty-handed. It's not a guarantee, but it sure does help. It helps your chances a lot. And so when they're going to places like Dranino, that's a known strewn field, and they're getting drunk with the Russians, remember that episode? Their chances are a lot higher of finding something than me looking out here in the prairie where nothing's been found. A dry find. We call that a dry find. So don't be discouraged or misled. It's incredibly difficult. Incredibly difficult. But I can't say personally because I've never done it, but can you imagine how absolutely rewarding that could possibly be? And I wouldn't care if the meteorite that I found was the biggest pile of dog crap meteorite you've ever seen in all your life. If I just found one, check that off my box, man. Oh, I don't think I'd stop looking either. I think I'd keep looking even if I did find one. But yeah, that might, is there a group for that? Do they have meetings? Addicted to meteorite hunting? There is a group. We're called the Knowledge Bolite, and we meet. Oh, you guys. Yeah. I don't know why the comments are coming up on my phone. I saw one just pop up here, but I didn't see it on my phone. Oh, agree. Karen's box opening has been a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I've enjoyed it. I always enjoy Karen's stuff. She makes me smile. Found tons of marbles. They do kind of look like little coprolites. However, Rufo, when I showed those to the meteorite group, they were fairly convinced that those were little iron nodules or little hematite nodules. And I watched a program on the moon the other night, Mars the other night, and there were some little hematite nodules all over Mars that look just like that. So I don't know either, but I love them. I love the little turd rocks. I don't know what they are, but I love them. Gotta keep trying, yeah. Not all those who wander are lost. Some are looking for unfound meteorites. show. Yeah, I know. It was a show. And yeah, definitely, you guys, not to the I don't mean to badmouth the Meteorite Men, because they're both dudes. In real life, they're cool dudes. It was a show. And one thing that it definitely did was drive the idea that meteorites have a monetary value. It drove that into the forefront of people's thought process, which was kind of a negative side effect of the show, really, because sometimes they're more important than money. Sometimes they are priceless for their scientific value. So it's not always just all fun and games and making a profit. Sometimes it's bigger than you and me all put together. So they're pseudo meteorites. Yeah, they're faux meteorites. Actually, there are some really cool. Oop, meteorons. My dog's barking at something. I gotta go tell her not to be rude. Sorry, guys. Hey. By the way, what you got there? Is there a kitty? Oh, there is? Good. You keep that kitty out of our yard. Look how nice out here it is, you guys. She's back there having a cow. Come on. Come on, come inside. You got him. Come on. It's like t-shirt weather out here. I can't believe it. We're not buried in snow. My rocks are all fine. I've been playing with my rocks on the back deck, actually, for the past couple of days. Usually I bring them inside because they're freezing. Not really. I bring them inside because usually you can't get out that back door. There's usually a 5-foot drift out that back door. So, yeah, it was a scripted reality show, yeah, but it did turn a lot of us on to the idea that that is something to do. That's a hobby to do. I didn't think about that before, Um, it was me and my kid watching Meteorite Men and realizing that nobody out here on the Montana prairie even has the rocks big enough to go tell the ranchers that they're looking for meteorites. It takes a big pair to utter words like that to such serious cowboys out here. And I got a lot of really weird looks. And same thing with my buddy who actually did find the Barnstable meteorite. He talks about how so many people thought he was out of his mind, and they finally just got used to the fact that that's what he was out there doing, and they started nicknaming him things like Rocky. Oh, there's Rocky. He's out looking for rocks again today. Oh, there's old Rocky, and then eventually they warmed up to the idea that he was out looking for rocks, and it wasn't really as crazy as it seemed. And then lo and behold, he went and found one. So, hey, now, Rufo. Let's not be threatening to bury me in snow. I'll take this nice weather all the way till the end of winter, if that's okay. My grass is still green. I can't believe that. Unheard of this time of year. It's beautiful, isn't it? In fact, what the heck am I doing here? Why am I not out looking for rocks? Yes, there is a pseudo meteorite from Russia, and it's beautiful. Pundara, what's it called? I might even have a piece of it that Sue sent. It's not for me to keep, though. She wanted me to wire wrap it for her, make a pendant. Let's look at it really quick if I can find it, though. Oh, here it is. Patorna? I don't know. There's a couple of them. That is not a meteorite. Looks just like that mesosiderate I showed you earlier, doesn't it? And Bear, that is one reason why a visual certificate or a visual certification is not okay. I would have been, for sure, I'd have sent that in for classification as fast as I could. And I would have been told that that is terrestrial, native iron, and possibly even nickel. I'm not sure what's in that. I need to read up on that. But there are some earth rocks that are very convincing. Yeah, that's pretty stuff, isn't it? There's actually some of that stuff can be really expensive, almost as expensive as real meteorites. But it's gorgeous, and I wouldn't mind having a couple pieces of it in my collection. So, Yeah, what you know. Well, you were looking at it on Etsy until it's in my hand right now. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, Bear. It very well could be. Like I see, there's another one from Russia too, and I don't think that's it. It's definitely. Gosh, it's almost hot in here, you guys. Might have to open the doors and let the flies in. But it's very very beautiful as well. Excellent meteorite. Yes, like I say, that's Sue's piece there. It's beautiful though. Yeah. Oh, goodness gracious! I just filled that coffee cup up, and now just I am so sorry. It's making me burp a little bit. Yeah, so I'm so glad you got to stop in, Marissa. It's good to see you here. I want to brag just a little bit on Marissa's behalf. Some of you guys have been with me since I did the Heart for Rocks thing with Kate, and some of you may have missed it, but all of us Meteorite girls got together on the Heart for Rocks episode that I did, and Marissa was one of those girls. There aren't a lot of women in meteorite collecting, and so we kind of stick together, And I wanted to mention Marissa earlier too, and I forgot. You guys, when you go to Topher Spin Meteorites, there's a page there on the inventory to buy Marissa's thin section photography. I highly suggest you go have a look. Even if you don't buy it, you guys go look. Blow your mind beautiful. Her art, oh my God, you guys, seriously, seriously, if you've got somebody who's maybe not as into rocks, but you're looking for something unique gift, please go look at Marissa's thin section photography that's for sale. It's not even for sale, it's for donation. I mean, guys, if you want to support and I mean one of the coolest cats I know, if you want to support one of the coolest women in meteorites, go support Marissa this holiday season and get some of her thin section photography for you or someone you know. So now that I got that out of the way, I want to tell you guys, why is Marissa so cool? First of all, her thin section photography is unrivaled. There's nobody out there doing as good a job as she's doing. Second of all, her commitment to meteorites and the meteorite community is the longevity there is. She's been into it almost twice as long as I have, and she's a little bit younger than I am. So good for her. She knows. You guys think I know a lot about meteorites? I do not. Marissa will put me to shame every day. She's got an amazing encyclopedia up in her brain. And you guys, Marissa has successfully found a meteorite, and I have not. She has successfully found a meteorite in a known strewn field, which again is not quite a dry find, but she did it. And you guys, she did it from her motorized wheelchair. I think, as far as we know in the meteorite community, she's the only person who has ever done that, you guys. Talk about a feel good story. We started with a feel good story and we're ending with a feel good story. You guys give her a round of applause. Give her a thumbs up. Give her a little heart. You know what? Hammer that little heart button for Marissa. Hammer it. I'm going to hit it. Look at me. I'm going to set my coffee down and I'm going to hit it. I'm going to hammer it. There it goes. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, thank you, Marissa. I love spending my Wednesday nights with you. You've always got something so cool to share with us. I need to step up my show and tell game because you're there every night reliably, and I'm just enjoying the show. I need to step up and be a little better show and teller because you've always got something just the best. Anyway, guys, it's beautiful. I can't believe how beautiful. And yeah, I'm going to finish that case, even though it's beautiful out. I'm going to finish the case, and I'm going to jump right off of this meteorite focused hangout and jump right into the other one tonight. So go hang out with my meteorite nerds. We need more of her story. Has she been interviewed? A little bit. A little bit. Jackie, a little bit in my Heart for Rocks episode, we talk about how she got into meteorite collecting. And I'm just gonna kind of paraphrase for her. She was into astronomy and she had received a free meteorite from Astronomy magazine and was like, if they're giving away meteorites, you must be able to buy them. And that's what just broke the camel's back for her. She got into meteorites far more than she'd ever been into astronomy. She takes her meteorite, she gets thin sections, which are some of they make thin sections to help do their classification process, but that she also uses them not for classification, not for science, but for art. She's scientifically minded. She can look at them and tell you what she believes she's seeing, and she's most of the time right on. But and in Meteorite Times magazine, huh, Marissa, huh? Oh, I mean, like I say, what a cool individual, you guys. She's a wealth of information. And yeah, I hope someday to meet her at the Meteorite Mansion or at Tucson and get to spend an afternoon with her, at least, if not a couple afternoons. She's just a absolute shining light, you guys. She's a really cool person. Despite some of the challenges that she has in her everyday life, she does more than a lot of people with more ability than her. So way to just you know, strap in and carry on. I think we could all take a lesson from her. Don't let it stop you. Don't let anything stop you from your goal. It doesn't matter if you're in a motorized wheelchair or if you don't have the budget for, the nicest meteorite collection. It doesn't matter. Don't let it stop you. You can do a lot with what you have. Where there's a will, there's a way. Ah, yeah, we're going to hang out one of these days. So I want to leave you guys with that. Where there's a will, there's a way. And you guys don't let anything or anyone tell you can't or stop you. Put your mind to something, stick to it, do it. It's going to be, this next generation of people coming up that hopefully have that mentality that are going to be our next classifiers. Because yes, we do need classifiers. We need those science-minded individuals to be helping us get our classifications put through. We need people out there doing sample returns and analyzing that, and these people don't just walk into those jobs overnight. It takes a lot of training and a lot of, hey, Aussie's here. It's afternoon here. Is it 2:00 in the morning there? The next day in the future. So it's Thursday over there. Anyway, we're going to need that chin up, push on mentality to keep pushing this science forward in meteorites in particular. So, you guys, it takes all kinds out there. Marissa's amazing. You're all amazing. Even if you're not pushing forward in the sciences of meteorites, you guys are, you let me do it, and you support me in my doing it. And there's something to that, I would do it anyway. Even if you guys thought I was out of my mind, I would do it anyway. But thanks for joining me along on these adventures and supporting me in all of my weirdness, my weird rock hounding obsession and my meteorite collecting. Like I say, nobody out here in the middle of Montana has a meteorite collection. And the weird looks I get when I say that's what I'm up to. Again, that tone is changing. It's taken a long time, but now I get those ranchers, those old cowboys and those old ranchers who are like, we've got this rock and it'd sure be nice to have someone look at it. Wow. Wow. Keep pushing forward, you guys. And the universe will, it'll all come back around. Yeah, good day, Aussie. You're catching us right at the end here. We had to tear apart the old meteorite case and get the dead bugs and the dust out, and we looked at a lot of stuff along the way. We've got it tore up in here. Yeah, the old-timey guys, they're great. They're great. They're a little bit harder to convince than some of the rest of us that this is an okay hobby, but you know what? If you put your mind to it, chin up, stick to it. It's gonna get you somewhere. What do they say statistically about a YouTube channel starting? That statistically, right about the time it gets hard is right about the time it starts getting successful, and that's right about the time when most people duck out, quit trying. So if it feels hard, that's probably right about the time that it's it's starting to work. So if life feels a little bit tough today, you guys, that's probably a little bit of a good thing. Lean into it, grind into it, put that chin up and keep going. There's my words of wisdom today, my words of advice. And it's hump day, so we've already made it through the incline of the week, and now we just got to make it through the other side, right? We can do it, and it'll be Karen and podcast and everything, all the fun stuff before we even know it. And I think we only get like what, 4 more weeks before we enter a new year. You know what that means? That means the first witness fall of 2024 is right around the corner. You guys. All right, I gotta get out of here. That was as corny as it gets, so I gotta get out of here. Oh, thank you, Bear, for sharing all the wrenchy links and the linky wrenches. And you guys rock. Thank you so much. We're gonna sing the song. The first witness fall of 2024 is right around the corner. I'm so funny. Pretty rocks out on the prairie. Pretty rocks are everywhere. Pretty rocks for us to look at. Pretty rocks are everywhere. There's a pink one and a green one and a blue one and a yellow one, and they all are very pretty, and they all are everywhere. Thank you guys so much for watching and hanging out today. Welcome to my living room. Thank you. We'll do it again soon. You guys have a great rest of your week.